Hey everyone, this is WilNF, and I've decided that we're going to start our playthrough of Might and Magic 3 Isles of Terra. Now, this is the game that inspired me to actually record some of these playthroughs, and I had just finished a playthrough like 2-3 months ago of Might and Magic 3. So I put that off. I didn't want to run through another playthrough immediately after. So I did Might and Magic 4. I did the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now we're on to Might and Magic 3. Now Might and Magic 3 is a game that was released in 1991, I believe. So it's retro. 90s kids might have seen it. So here's the box art for the SNES version. Doesn't really give much of a hint as to what the gameplay is going to be like. And it actually, you can use the Super NES mouse for it. I didn't know that for a long time. But that's interesting to know. Yeah, so for those who are new to the Might and Magic series, they have it's a whole series. There's Might and Magic 1 all the way up to Might and Magic X or 10X Legacy. It's called Might and Magic X Legacy, which was developed by Ubisoft, I believe. Ubisoft bought the rights to the Might and Magic. So Might and Magic 3 was first, I think it was first developed on DOS, and it was ported to pretty much every console that existed at the time. It's on Amiga, it's on Sega, it's on, there's Turbo CD for it, SNES, DOS. Yeah, it's not on the NES though, but every other more modern console, there's a version of the game which plays differently. Now, here is the basically the map of the Isles of Terra. So Terra, here's the islands of Terra, which stands for Earth. You start basically in the top left. You'll see there's this Fountainhead all the way at the top left. That's where you start. And the big road is basically the main path where you need to go all the way across down to Waldebar. So there's the 3 towns. The 4th town is in Swamp Town. You take a boat to get there. That's where things really start to get dangerous. And the 5th is in the middle on the Island of Fire. It's a magically protected town. And it's much longer and larger if you've seen my Might and Magic 4 playthrough. Yeah, so I mean, I don't want to do a whole episode on exposition of the game, but I want to sort of get you guys centered. This is probably my favorite game of all time. So, what else do I want to say about it? If you've seen there's a lot of differences between the DOS and SNES versions of the Might and Magic 3. If you've watched Might and Magic 4, the DOS version, it's similar to the third. There's differences in like inner game mechanics, but sort of how. But the SNES version, the mechanics are quite different. I mean, I'll explain it as I go through the game, but yeah, that's. I suppose let's boot it up and let's get out of here. Go into my quote-unquote retro TV. It's just a let's see here. Try to find it. Where is it? There we go. It's just an overlay. I don't actually own a TV like that. And I'll credit the where I got it from in the description. But I figured it'd be a nice touch to add that as sort of, if we're playing a retro game, you know. Let me just turn up the brightness on my screen here. It's now morning. I had it dark because of night. Now it's morning, so. And yeah, so I've imposed some rules for myself. I've played this game many times. I beat it from start to finish once, and I've gotten very far many times. So the restrictions I impose on myself: no using exploits, no actively using exploits. There's bugs in the game. If we encounter some of the bugs, like some pretty much game-breaking bugs, like you can randomly get like 100 million experience points or like 10 million gold because of calculation errors on the back end, which you're not supposed to get. If it happens, because it's part of the game, we're gonna go with it. Try to avoid them, but they're kind of random. I can use, I can save in towns and on the overworld, but not in dungeons itself. No exploits, no save scumming. Like in this game, you can just try to pick a lock. If you hit the trap, reload and then pick it. If you don't like what you get, you can reload, and then I'm not going to do that, except for very specific areas, which I'll mention. But yeah, we're going to be playing this from start to finish. I've been talking for almost 10 minutes, so let's get into it. Start a new game, yes. I might turn up the volume a little bit here. Try here. Should be okay. Maybe a bit low, but I'd rather have it a bit low than too high to overpower my voice, like we did in the character creation for Might and Magic 4. Now this episode is just going to be, I'm going to title it episode 0. We're just going to do character creation. So you start off with 6 heroes here. So you get a human paladin, dwarf barbarian, evil human-orc knight, robber, cleric, and sorcerer. Now this is perfectly fine to get through the game, and their stats are actually pretty good. So it's fine to start off with these, but you know, we're just gonna roll our own party here. So first thing we need to do is to take all their equipment. So it's a bit more tedious on SNES than the DOS version. A mouse makes this game so much easier. Okay, so we're gonna dismiss this guy. Well, we'll take her stuff first. So I've been thinking about the last oh, darn it. Last playthrough I did, the party that I used, okay, was I used one of each. Oh shit. See, if you don't pay attention, you can accidentally. It's weird because the trade button with here is the same as the discard. So if you don't have a manual, you will never know how to trade. And here it says discard. Do you want to permanently discard? Yes or no. If you click no, it says give it to another member. So I accidentally just discarded something. But it's no big deal. These are just basic items. Okay, so we'll dismiss them, yeah. So in my playthrough, I for now, I'll create a couple. I use one of each spell casting. So the spell casting is sorcerer, cleric, archer, which is a knight sorcerer hybrid, paladin, which is a cleric knight hybrid, druid, and a ranger, which is a druid knight hybrid. And that was perfectly fine. It actually made the game a lot easier because because any of my characters had the ability to heal and, you know, remove status effects, so which was excellent. We could spread healing around the party. So let's get into create here. So I was thinking a sorcerer is pretty much essential in this game. Two sorcerers even, or a sorcerer and an archer. You need people who can cast arcane magic is super important in this game. Now, how this works is you roll and you get, there's 6 stats. Might for how much damage you do and how your ability to bash down doors and walls. Intellect is spell points for arcane casters and natural casters. Personality is spell points for natural casters and cleric magic. Endurance is basically hit points, how many you got. Speed, how fast you act in a round. It also affects your armor class. Accuracy, if you hit things or not. Luck has an effect in resistances, in lock picking, and if you get status effects. So we're gonna see, let's try to roll. Okay, we got a 20 here and a 19, which is good. But the 6 is not very good. 70, 83, 93, 99. I mean, this is a decent roll. Besides the 6, if that 6 would have been like a 10, this would have been an excellent roll here. Let's see. I mean, we might be able to. And you want to prioritize speed in this game because it's the hardest stat to raise. So you always make. What I always do, I do my highest stat speed, second highest endurance. Always. I mean, this is decent for like a barbarian or a knight even. They don't need intellect or personality, but what worries me is the 6 is a bit low. Actually, accuracy, starting accuracy doesn't matter that much because you can raise it up to 25 pretty early. It costs money to train, but so I don't prioritize accuracy. It's easy to raise it to 25. Might make this our knight. So I was thinking I want a sorcerer, a cleric, and an archer. Maybe a ranger. A barbarian and a knight. My favorite classes are paladin and druid, but yeah, still undecided. Let's see here. So maybe we'll use this for a barbarian. Barbarian. We want to do human-orc. They get the most HP. Your classes affect your starting resistances, your want to do a male or a female? Kind of like that guy's look. Maybe her? Alright, let's do this guy. And in this game you choose, it's not in 4, but in here you can choose good, neutral, evil. There's some minor in-game differences depending on your disposition alignment, but overall it doesn't matter too much. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Name for this character, human-orc name would be something like here, let's do Klobbar, sort of like Klobbar, because this guy is going to be the physical heavyweight. He's going to do most physical damage. It's pitiful stats. So we got a 20, but the other stats aren't that great. Oh my goodness, we got 21 and 20? But the other stats are pitiful. Yeah, I can't do this roll. 88. Here we got fair stats across the board, but usually I look for at least a 19. At least 119 or higher. And my rule of thumb is usually no stats lower than 10 and at least a 20. So here maybe. Let's see, we could use this for sorcerer maybe? Speed. I want higher speed than that though. $96, yeah. Usually I try to aim for 100 or higher, with all the stats combined. So by the way, if this character creation thing bores you to death, just skip to episode 1. There's going to be no gameplay in this episode, so I'm just going to create a party, get it ready, and then be ready to go in episode 1. We got a 20, but everything else sucks. 20 and a 19. A 5, no, I can't go with a 5. $22 and 2 18s, but we got 10s. They were like 11s maybe. I might consider that roll. I think the highest I've ever gotten is like 113, 115. Okay, here we got $97 overall. I don't like that 7 though. Maybe. Let's see. We rolled a barbarian. What about a cleric here? This personality 19. Intellect as the lowest stat. They don't need intellect. Speed. Endurance. This could be useful for a cleric. Hold on, 70, 80, 90. This is 101 overall, which is okay, pretty okay. Actually, you don't want their speed stat to be too high for the cleric. Let's go with this, I suppose. Because you want your cleric going last in the round. They heal all the damage that was soaked up that round, basically. Actually, you might put their speed like 13. I'd rather have a 20 or 21, but I mean, it's 2 points of difference. In the end game, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, let's do cleric here. Give them a lot of luck so they resist status effects. So we'll do a good cleric. We'll do a male gnome, I think. Yeah, I like to break the stereotypes. Usually you think, oh, it's a woman. But I don't think there's many male gnome clerics. I kind of like that for cleric. No. Use this guy for a cleric. Gnome. Good cleric. Create. We shall call them Salazar? I don't know. It just came in my head, so we'll do it. A bit tired today. Only had like 6.5 hours of sleep, but yeah. So let me write down which characters we already created here. Here's my pencil. Okay, so we made a. Okay. We'll roll an archer. So an archer needs pretty good stats across the board because they're going to be fighting, but they also need the ability to cast spells. So let's see here. These are pretty fair spread, but I don't think. Wait. 70, 81, 82, 83, 45, 86. Hold on. 70, 80, 91, 92, 98. Oh, that's not bad at all. We got some. Okay, so 70, 80, 88, 96, 102, 109, which is pretty good. So let's turn this into a archer. Okay, so archers don't need personality, just enough to intellect. You want that to be pretty high, at least 15, 16. Speed, you want that to be high. Endurance, they could be a little higher, but luck, do we want to change might with luck? I'll leave it like that. I like luck, it helps in resistance. So we'll do an evil archer, and I'm gonna make them elven. Elven gives them there we go. Elven gives them 2 extra spell points per level, which your arcane casters need a lot of spell points because endgame they have a costly spell, which is pretty much the only spell effective against really bad enemies. So elf, let's call them I don't know. We had Elowa for our male. We'll call them Elowa? I don't know, it sounds kind of elven, no? Elowa? Elowa? Sure, why not? Okay, so let's get out of here. Put them in our party. Barbarian. Oh yeah, should delete. Yes. What? Good cleric. more portrait choices. I like to keep dark shade usually there. You get a lot of equipment in this game, and inventory space is very limited, so you can like put them in your party, fill them up with items, put them back in the inn, and sort of like storage. Okay, so let's move the items from the other characters to them. Dismiss. Okay. Yeah, inventory management in this game is tedious. Oops. Give all his stuff to Salazar. Yeah. So what MM4 did is you actually had probably should have gave this to Klobbar because he had all the barbarian stuff, but oh well. Your inventory was split. Here everything goes in the same slot, so okay. Dismiss. Oh. You dismiss. You dismiss. You. Faulty winks. An aged man stands behind the counter, skimming the names in a leather book. Ha! Welcome to the Faulty Winks. Will ya be signing the register? Sure. Yuck. Delete Sir Canigum the Paladin. So Sir Canigum is a nod to the executive producer. John Van Canigum. Yeah. Create. So we have barbarian, cleric, and archer. You want sorcerer, sorcerer, cleric, barbarian, and still undecided. I was thinking about this yesterday. I'm like, what do I want? We're gonna just create the sorcerer and I'll see what happens. Oh, not bad. I mean, sorcerer. Let's try to get this. Hold on. This is 70, 80. Jeez. 70, 86, 95, 99. I mean, for sorcerer, they don't really need stats other than like speed and intellect and endurance. But no, we need some higher stats than that. At least a 19 for intellect is what I'm aiming for. There's a 20. That's personality 7. It's actually fair stats here. Let's see, we have 20, 30, 40, 53, 70, 85, 95. Let's see, if I were to make them, I would have something like this, I think. But can do better. Okay, we got a 20 and an 18. 20 is excellent. Speed 18. Endurance is a bit low for my taste. Give them more luck. Actually, personality, we can drop that down. They don't need personality. I'd rather have them. No. I'd rather have them closer to like 18 endurance. This is 99 overall stats. I mean, for sorcerer, 100 is perfectly good. Do we want to keep this or not? I could do with a little bit higher luck and endurance, but actually we have evil archer, good cleric, evil barbarian. So we'll do a neutral sorcerer then. I'd like to have 2 of each. Do we have any more elves? We have male elves. That's it. So we have 1 female elf. Do they look like a sorcerer? They look more like an archer. Kind of like him. This is the default sorcerer here, which he kind of looks like a sorcerer, but maybe we'll use this guy. Why not? Let's do this. Select sorcerer. For an elf. Male elf, we'll call him I always hate making names because they have to sort of feel aesthetically appropriate to, or otherwise I'm just like, ooh. I don't know, it's just like Myrlidian, that This is kind of elfish, I guess. Okay, sorcerer done. So we have one healer, we have 2 arcane casters, we should have a secondary healer. So this could either be ranger, druid, or paladin. Trying to think. I mean, cleric magic is very good because you can cure poison and disease, and but rangers and druids also get some good cleric spells like raise dead. They also get a really helpful heal spell called Nature's Cure. So let's do maybe a druid or a ranger. Maybe druid. I kind of like the druid because early game you can buff them. They suck at first because they don't have any good spells, but you can buff them early game and they're good straight through until late game. But at the end they don't get the most powerful spells. So, and they're slightly better fighters than clerics, but still they're still kind of fair to weak fighters. Ranger is a pretty good fighter actually, but let's see. I think for our last 2 we could either do paladin and ranger, or we could do knight and druid. I think we're gonna do knight and druid maybe, just because I never really take the knight class. But the knight has a bonus early game. They're excellent because they get +1 to hit. Yeah, let's roll a druid here. Now for the druid we want very specific stats, because if you want to min-max your druid, so we'll do a druid and a knight. It's pretty good. This might be good stats for a knight. Let's put this here. Yeah, that's actually really decent roll here. Okay, so 80, 90, 107. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. So endurance is a bit low. Accuracy we don't need. Might is good. I'd rather have a bit higher endurance, but speed, you want speed higher. I think it's the spread we're gonna have to go with here. And we'll do it. Neutral sorcerer and neutral druid. And a good knight, I guess. I like the druid to be neutral because like they live in the wilderness. They don't really care about like good and evil and like all that stuff. They do what they do. Okay, so let's do a good knight here, and we'll make them either dwarf get extra HP, which is good, or so cleric is gnome. Sorcerer and archer were elven. Our druid is gonna be gnome, so we'll do dwarf, just so we have a spread of races. Probably should have done dwarf for the barbarian and human-orc for the oh well. Now I'm making a conscious choice here. We don't start off with lock picking, which is gonna hurt us early game, but later on you can pick up the thievery skill. So, I mean, your dwarf looks like a good knight. Her? It's human-orc. No. It's gonna be our druid there. I like this sort of eyeless look there. Like they don't have any irises, like they're possessed by like nature or something. Anyway, yeah, we'll do dwarf. Dwarf gets 1 extra HP per level, and human orcs get 2. So I mean, at like level 50, you get an extra 50 points. Her? She looks kind of old. I always found she looked old. Maybe this guy? Is that all the dwarfs we have? But a dwarf knight doesn't really seem appropriate. I don't know, we don't need a dwarf. Dwarves have good resistances though. I don't know, let's do this guy. Let's make him a knight. Dwarf. We'll call him Curzon? I don't like that name. Dumpy. Dumpy the Knight. I don't know, just funny name. The nickname. Sir Dumpy. What about Sir Dumpy? Can we fit that in there? You can't do spaces in the game though. Oh well. Dumpy the Knight. And we want to roll a druid, so we have to be very careful here. We need to find like 2 20s, and then the rest need to be like 13s, 14s. So this might take a while here. So 21. And 19, but it's actually, beside the 5, that's actually a decent roll for anything else except the druid. The druid has to be very specific, because if you min-max them, they're pretty good early game, early to mid. I mean, a 19 and a 20 would make me happy. If you want to skip this part, this might take a while to get very specific stats. The chances of getting something exactly what I want is like 1 in 500,000 here. So for druids, their spell points come from intellect and personality, because they can cast both arcane and cleric spells, as well as their own unique natural spells. 21. I mean, maybe even 2 19s I might settle with if... $20 and a 19. Okay, well, this maybe will work. I don't like that 7, but these should be 14 or under all the rest of the stats. I mean, endurance doesn't don't really care about endurance. We can boost that on our own. Speed, we want that. Endurance is a bit low. Maybe we could do the 14 endurance. Well, still, yeah, it doesn't really matter because we're gonna boost them anyway. So we'll do accuracy, speed. We want them to be neutral, and there was a specific portrait I like using for this. So maybe yeah, why not? We could roll for like another hour, and so let's do this. And I always call them, I like to call them Wisp, because that's a Wisp is like a natural, or I could have even called them Fae. Oh well. Great, so we have our party. Now we're gonna do a crap ton of inventory management. So if you don't like this, then too bad for you. Just kidding. If you don't like it, just skip this. No, we're not gonna have any gameplay. Here's our party. So yeah, dwarves get good resistances. So for knight, I mean, you want your knight to endure as well as your barbarian. So first thing I'm gonna do is let's order our characters here. I like to have the druid at the end, sorcerer, cleric here. Okay, so let's swap Dumpy for the archer, Dumpy for gnome cleric. There, I think that's the order we want. Let's see, might 16. I mean, their might is not that good actually, but we put our highest stats into speed, so they hit first. And I mean, accuracy overall isn't great either, but I mean, you get stat boosts later on, so it doesn't really, it's no big deal. So I think this is gnome. Yeah. I had a bug in the game. Sometimes when I create a gnome druid, I would get merchant skill when I started. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's like a rare thing, but yeah, they've started with the merchant skill, which they're not supposed to. And they have pretty decent resistance as gnomes. Sorcerers have crappy resistance. Energy resistance is useful though. Yeah, spot secret doors. And 0 skills. The archer is useless. They start, knights start with arms master, which gives you a +1 to hit right off the bat, which is extremely helpful at the start of the game. Danger sense, and human orcs have no skills, they're useless. And sorcerers start with cartographer. Yeah, direction sense is helpful, but not AC 0. That's because their speed is so low. Okay, yeah. So we want to, first thing is spread out our equipment. Oh yeah, in this game they can't use edge weapons. So let's just give all this stuff to the knight. Looks like knight stuff. I think they can use shields though. There you go. So, outfit our knight. So this is the basic vanilla SNES version. One bug in the game though is that archers can't use shields, no. But barbarian can, I believe. And this is sorcerer stuff. Let's give that to yeah, there's a bug in the game in the SNES version that any additions to personality from in-game, like barrels or crystals or anything you touch, this goes to the cleric, adds to intellect instead of oh shoot, adds to intellect instead of personality. Now I added a patch to this game which fixes that. Some guy found out that it was caused by one byte that was miscoded. So basically it changes one byte, and so personality should add to personality in this game. Hold on. Let's get that confused here. Okay, let's equip you with leather boots, leather gauntlets, shield. You can't use short sword, no. Boots. Who doesn't have leather boots? Open hooks. We'll give that to okay. Okay. So it's for cleric. There we go. Let's see, what do we have here? What do you have? You have nothing at all. Okay. What about you? Okay, let's equip your stuff. I think you have everything. Cloak, leather boots. Let's give the leather boots too. So one thing I like for my druid is that they never wear any synthetic stuff. So leather's fine. Anything that occurs in nature, like crystal. I think the highest I let them wear is ebony or obsidian. I'll give them obsidian stuff. Obsidian is I think is a natural occurring compound. see, what do we have? You have what you need. Dumpy. Let's equip you. Actually, hold on. Okay. So you use hand axe, shield. Oh yeah, so it was the armor that I accidentally destroyed. Let's give this to Wisp, since Wisp's AC sucks. So I'll give you leather gauntlets, leather boots. Well, next episode we'll have to buy them. We'll have to buy our equipment, but this is gonna be pretty much it here. Character creation. See any other straggling equipment? Neutral elf sorcerer. AC 1. Excellent. Yeah, like AC 4 now. Yeah. So yeah, I like the druid because they get more HP. They're overall better fighters than the other pure casters. They're the best pure caster fighter actually. And yeah, the only thing is endgame their magic is pretty lacks a little bit, but they get some important spells like Raise Dead, Stone to Flesh, Cure Paralysis and stuff like that, which is superb. So here's our party. Our barbarian with a whopping 18 points, our sorcerer with 4, which they're pretty much like knocked dead in one hit from anything at this point. But yeah, so this will be the end of this episode. I just wanted to create our party. Episode 1, the official gameplay starts. Next episode. And yeah, so the first episode we'll try to complete Fountainhead. Well, actually we can't. To actually complete the Fountainhead quest, you need someone with thievery, which we don't have. So we can't. I mean, we can go through the motions, but you have to pick a chest at the end to finish the quest. But we can't do that. But we'll get up to that point. We'll see if we can. Anyway, thanks if you've watched this whole thing. Thank you for your patience and your focus and interest in this. Not everybody likes watching character creation. I know I do. I like to see the choices and decisions people make, who they choose, and their starting stats. It gives you a good sense of, especially if you're familiar with the game. But yeah. So let's save here. And there you go. Just saving the game, and yeah. So thanks again for spending this time with me, your host, WilNF, and stay tuned for episode 1 upcoming. You stay classy, San Diego.